Gutter Works. If you need any exterior modifications to your house or business and you live in the Southwest Michigan area, make sure to check them out. Link in the description down below. They just fixed my fascia and soffit and my gutters on my house. Did a great job. Looks great. Everything's cool. So make sure to check them out. All right. So Sexton goes 1-1, stamps his 450 motocross championship season.
Not without some issues leading out throughout the weekend, but man, he still just proved, like, dude, his cardio's on point. When he wants to sprint away, like, he's just got all these dudes dial or on lock, like, you know, and it was funny too, because, you know, as you were too, video, but like I was bouncing around and stuff, and like, yeah, obviously you get in, you know, mid moto and, you know, you're paying attention, but you can obviously hear chatter around, like, people around you.
Yes.
And, you know, and I've obviously had heard this for a few weeks now, but, like, people, you know, the last couple of weeks, because we've now realized that Chase he's very calculated about he goes out about these races. Like, he's obviously learned from the battle with Tomac in 2022. He learned from racing Jet last year. He's learned from Supercross. He's still making and I like to call them Chaseisms, where he's just not analyzing things. He's just reacting, which is fine. Like, it's going to happen. Everybody does. Nobody's immune to it. But, like, there's the people that, you know, especially yesterday, they're like, man, like, how come Chase isn't pulling away from AP? How's it? I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, guys, Chase is doing just enough to sit back there, conserve energy. It was hotter yesterday. It was one of the hottest rounds we've had in a while.
Yep.
And then we seen that when he wanted to pull the trigger, AP's not an issue for him.
Nope.
He went around him like he was standing still, would sprint away, and then he would just wear AP out. He wore everybody out. Like, he just walked away from him.
He did.
But it's like, dude, like, he's doing the exact same thing Jet did last year. Like, he's sitting back there watching these dudes, pulls the trigger when the opportune time, gets a little bit of a gap, and then he just manages. And that's what Chase has been doing for a while now. Like, he's been managing these motos. It's like the days of Chase outside of that, and really he settled in after he pulled a huge gap that second moto at Unadilla. The days of Chase trying to go 100%, he's realized that's not smart.
Doesn't work.
And you know what? And once again, Chase is still making those little mistakes. He stalled in the second moto, got a little bit loose. But, like, all the credit to him, he's finally figured out how to harness that speed that he has.
Yep.
And I'm not going to take any, like, dude, he doesn't need to win by 35 seconds. Like, I'm sure that if he wanted to, he could go out there and win by 35 seconds with no problem. But he's doing what Jet did, and he's doing what Eli has done later on in his career. So it's like, I'm not going to knock him because he didn't blow the doors off AP yesterday. Like, I don't care. If Chase is winning...
He handily won those races yesterday.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There were people, I could just hear him. I'm just like, the people are like, man, he's not really pulling away from... I'm like, guys, to see how easy he passed him?
Yeah.
AP's not a problem for Chase.
Yep.
So, like, just... I don't have a problem with the way he's winning these races. We pretty much saw that second moto Unadilla. When Chase wants to yard everyone, he can yard everyone.
Do you have a problem with, I saw this online post yesterday, do you have a problem with him calling both Redbud and Ironman his home tracks?
I mean, if you want to talk about proximity, he's not wrong. But if you want to talk about the actual real home track, it's Redbud because he rode.
Yeah. I would consider Redbud more so his home track because he read there.
Proximity
but
thing.
yeah, but I mean, he's from Illinois. He's literally, I think, pretty close to in the middle of the two. So, okay, great. He calls them both home races. He's got tons of fans.
No, I don't have
both.
a problem with that. I mean, whatever. No, not at all.
It's just like this be Indy and whatever being AP's home race because he's from Ohio. Okay.
But AP rode at Redbud more than he did at Ironman. He probably did a lot of GNCCs at Ironman.
Well, I'm just saying. But, so, speaking of AP, he goes 2-2 for second on the day. He was, dude.
He's good.
I told you this yesterday when we were there. Every time I saw AP riding, I was like, dude, he is flying.
Yeah, he's going fast.
He is flying. Like, I don't even... Here's the thing, though, is that I don't want to be like, oh, he took a step, right? Because...
You might have, though.
I think he's moved up in the order of second group guys, but I think he's still a second group guy. Like, I don't think he's taken that step where he's going to go up there with Chase and Jet and I guess Hunter sometimes. And
I mean, dude, he keeps riding like this. AP might actually insert himself where it's just him and Hunter now all the time.
It's impressive though because we were kind of on the thing of like, man, we think his moto career is winding down. Like we keep hearing these rumors that KTM kind of wants to move him into the off-road side of things, blah, blah, blah. And then he comes out, has a year like this and looks the way he does. And it's like, oh, maybe not. I don't know. So
my biggest thing that I want to see moving forward, and we're going to see an SMX, and I think he's just going to be just as good moving into 2025, is we obviously know at one point he had the red plate in Supercross. He was leading the points. We're like, holy shit, is like AP actually going to run this down to the wire? And then he fell off.
Yep.
But we've seen him in the past being able to run it down in outdoors for almost the entire season. There was just a couple years that he got hurt, and it wasn't, it was just dumb luck or whatever. Or not dumb luck, but like just bad luck.
Yep.
I want to see him push it through all the way through Supercross. Because if you can tell me that he can ride like this all the way through Supercross next year, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, this is true.
This is finally, like, AP is finally becoming who we've... Because in Supercross, speed has also never been his issue. Like, he was really fast at times this year in Supercross.
Yes.
I mean, how many times after qualifying was he, like, 12th, and we're like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
It's run out. And then he goes on and wins the heat race, and we're like, never mind.
Okay.
So I want to see him be able to run it down to the wire in Supercross, because if he can do that, you kind of got to look at AP as like, yeah, like he might lead the second tier group of guys, whoever those guys are going into 2025.
I don't want to jump too high on any of this because we're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Jet hasn't been here since the third round.
Jet's not the second. But Jet's not the second tier guy though.
No,
AP. So like,
but it doesn't matter because to me, it's like, okay, if you get Jet in there and say he's first most of the time, I'm not even gonna say all the time. Let's just say most of the time. It kind of shuffles everybody back, and then all of a sudden. Like, AP right now, yeah, he looks really, really good, and he's kind of clearly made himself the second guy here these last few rounds. But if you shuffle him back and then you get, like, into the earlier in the season, like when Jet was around, for example, and now you're talking, like, he's maybe getting thirds. For the most part, he's running around fourth, fifth, whatever. The viewpoint from us moto guys changes then a little bit because it's like fourth and fifth is still great. But it's still like, you want to tell me that Jason Anderson's season was fucking stellar outdoors? And
honestly, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
And he's averaging like right around fifth place. I mean, there's just the stigma.
I think it was
moto
better.
People were super top heavy, so
it was better than I thought it was. I mean, Anderson had an Anderson type outdoor season, so like
we'll
I don't really have a problem.
I'm just saying, I'm like, I think I don't want to pour too much into this until we see when we put Jet back into the equation here.
Yeah.
Then I'll start going by Chase is really taking a step. I'll go by AP's really taking a step. Like you said too, the Supercross thing. Like AP's always been better outdoors. We all know this. So yeah, if we get into Supercross and he's doing things like this, okay, cool. Then that makes things more interesting. But I got to see it.
Yeah.
So it was a good year for him. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. Great Supercross season. Great outdoor season. Cool. Same thing with Chase. Congratulations on winning that 450 title. It's cool. Now you've got an indoor and an outdoor one. That's awesome. But until I see these guys do this against Jet, I'm kind of just like waiting to see like, okay, how does this really shake out here? Because I mean, let's face it. We came out of Supercross where Jet had gone 24-0, then wins the SMX, then wins the Supercross title. And we basically at the end of Supercross, we basically at the end of the Paula at round one, we're all like, fuck, it's going to get boring here. Like, this is about to, like, the whole everything, every series we're in is about to be boring. Then, of course, Jet gets hurt, and then it's like, oh, okay. Then things started to get a little more interesting. Now he's been out. Okay, it's been much more interesting in that fact. But I'm like, I cannot, especially being a Jet guy, I cannot forget, like, bro, up until that crash at Hangtown, we all were like, shit, this is going to be boring. Like, we're just watching this kid run away with things. So, like I said, I want to put Jet back in the equation and then see how things shake out. If we come out in SMX and these guys are all giving it to Jet like this, and it's like, you never kind of know who's going to win, okay, cool, then maybe. But I gotta see it.
I think as far as SMX goes, I think that there's only a few people that if you want to use your words, give it to Jet, that are probably going to give it to Jet. I think Sexton's going to beat him. I said that on the way down. Mm-hmm. I don't think Hunter, and we'll get to Hunter, because I think Hunter just might have more issues going into SMX after the way he rode yesterday, that second moto. And then I think the only other guys you can really look at is like where Eli's going to be, where's Coop going to be, and Kenny. But like as far as giving it to Jet, I think it's just going to be Chase. That's like the only person I can look at that's going to just give it to Jet. Everybody else, like, I mean, I don't know. I think everybody else is just going to be where they're at.
Okay. Well, speaking of being where they're at, so Tomac comes out, goes 4-3 for third. Okay, so the real big talk here is, does this ride
Yes.
get him on Destinations?
I stand by, even after having now not 24 hours, but like a night's sleep and half a day or morning or whatever to process it. I still stand by what I said yesterday on the reaction show. I think Eli needs to go to MX of Nations. It's not a knock on AP. AP had a great fucking year. In any other year, would probably deserve it. But, this is Eli. And I think you got to factor more in, just not with rides. Like, hey, Eli next year, it's already come out that 2025 is going to be his last year. We're looking at the team we could send this year. We have the best chance we've had. And, we won in 2022, but we have a really good chance at winning with the team if we send Chase, Hayden, and Eli. It obviously makes it easier if you have 2 star guys on this. They're on the team. Hayden has made the comment that if Eli or the only way he goes is if Eli goes.
Which that's confirmed, by the way.
Yeah,
I heard that directly from a source.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so
Saturday.
then you have to start thinking about it, because even if Eli and Hayden didn't go, then you're looking at like Kitchen and AP going, and that's still a really good team, but that reduces our chances of winning dramatically, in my opinion, just against the teams that we're going to be racing. So it's like, and Eli, he was really good. So his last 4 motos, he was 4-11, and the 11 was not a good representation of how he actually rode even the first moto.
That
4-11
was track.
Yeah, 4-11, 4-3. He was fine. And he's going to be better in a month.
Yeah.
And especially with this whole rumor about them going over to the last GP before MX of Nations to get, acclimated to the bikes and testing and getting, their bodies acclimated and the food and all that shit we don't talk about. Like, he's going to be better. And this is no offense to AP, but the fact that Eli was able to come off the couch and in 4 motos, 2 out of the 4, being able to run almost the same speed, like...
Yeah, so
I think he needs to go.
Let me ask you this, because we talked about this a lot in Supercross, and you brought this up a lot. Did you feel like Tomac's conditioning, you felt like he had enough cardio to go the whole distance there for the 35 minutes, both motos yesterday?
Yeah,
Seeing it in person?
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, and Supercross is a different thing. Supercross is a lot more like, dude, if your breathing is off just a little bit, and then obviously hesitant with the Achilles, like that's a different type of conditioning.
Because that was something that we questioned hard, because we watched that, and so you brought that point up in Supercross, and then I went, yeah, you're right, dude. Like at 15 minutes, he falls off. But I didn't feel like that was the case yesterday.
No, and I don't think it's ever actually a cardiovascular thing. The reason why he was fading at Supercross, like I just mentioned, I think those were his issues. I don't think. I don't think if you're ever looking at like, holy fuck, like his heart rate's through the roof. He's got nothing left. I don't think that's ever been Eli's issue. It's just the other shit.
Yep. Okay. So and so that was. I mean, those were a good couple motos. That second. I mean. Really, realistically, the first moto, I thought he was going to get up there and challenge for the box too. So, he was on it. He was on it first moto there.
Yeah, and we were trying to watch the broadcast on the way down here. He was just
partway through the first.
He was just making shitty line selection in the new section in the woods, the GNCC shit, where he was losing all that time to Hunter, because I felt like everywhere else he would close right back up on Hunter when you get towards the middle, and then especially start to get towards the tree line, and he just, whatever his line selection was in the woods, just wasn't good enough, and it was just enough to have to try to close back gap up, use a little bit more energy. But no, I mean, Eli rode fine yesterday, and I really think he's going to pick it up at SMX. I do think it's going to come out this week that it is going to be Chase, Hayden, and Eli, and it's a bummer for AP, but it's like, look, man, like we're not in the charity giving business. Like, we want to go win, and that's the team that we could win with. Now, whether we do win with that team too is also a different conversation, but still, if I look at that team on paper, I'm like, yeah, we can win with that team.
100%. So Hunter goes 3-6 for fourth.
I think cooked himself that second moto.
He cooked himself that second moto.
And that scares me a little bit with Hunter.
Hard.
That scares me a little bit with Hunter. With his
the
past
health
issues
he's had,
and now we only have a week break to go into SMX. Like, dude, all that momentum, how great of a summer you had, might have just went out the door.
Yep. So we'll have to keep an eye on that moving forward. Justin Cooper goes 6-4 for fifth.
Just a quiet Justin Cooper day, man. Like, really, really good. Got dropped a little bit.
He looked fine, but he kept getting into no man's land there. Yeah. He'd get a decent start, but he just couldn't go with those guys, and then he'd get into no man's land and just be by himself just riding.
And that's a really hard thing to do at any time, but especially the last national of the year when everything's kind of wrapped up and you're just kind of like, man, like, I got no pressure from behind. I can't really see the guy in front of me. Like, you kind of just get locked into the practice day like pace in the week where you're going like 82 to 85%.
Yep.
And you're just like, dude, if this is good enough to move me forward, cool, it'll move me forward. If it's not, then I'm just fine with being here. Like, I got nothing really to... I got no reason to just hang it out anymore at this point.
Yep. Jason Anderson goes 5.5 for 6th.
Christian Craig caught him that second moto.
Well, that second moto, I watched him. I don't want to say give up. That's too harsh.
Because he passed Hunter.
He backed it down.
Yeah.
Like you watched him. He kind of got into that no man's land, and he backed it down. And then when Hunter started to fade, he picked it back up. But there was a while there that he was just like, you know what? I'm not catching him. I'm not losing anything to him. I'm just gonna you could tell the aggression level was not there, because with Ando there's an aggression level when he rides.
Don't get it twisted.
Wasn't there.
Everybody signed off in that moto other than Chase.
Yes.
Everybody else in that moto, Chase was the only one that just kept pushing. Everybody else was like, I got nothing.
Yep.
Well, and we know that like Ando, like I think he just had a normal Anderson season outdoors. Like he was good. He showed flashes of brilliance. Like had some speed. Was maybe there was a couple times where I think he should have done a little bit better. But whatever. Like Anderson, we know he's a Supercross guy. Like he is focused on SMX.
Yeah.
Like I honestly believe, I don't think in his right mind and anybody around him thinks he's going to win SMX. But
you want me to text John and ask?
Who?
John, his trainer, Westling.
No, I don't think even they would tell you. But, like, I think anybody would be crazy to believe, though, that if Anderson doesn't get on the box and at least lead some laps in SMX, that it's not considered a failure.
Yeah.
Like I said, he ain't winning one, and he's not winning the SMX title, but I think Anderson needs to be on the box and needs to lead some laps for it to call it a successful SMX.
Yeah. Phil, last outdoor race, 8.8 for 7.
Phil was at the same hotel we were at. That's why it's just funny to us.
Funny thing to us. Dude, I mean, Phil did not sign off either. But
Phil also didn't shift the whole entire moto.
I was going to say, so here's the funny thing that I noticed with Phil this weekend. I think Phil riding the 250 in Supercross doesn't transition super well to the 450, because he was the only guy outside Tomac that when he went by me was on the limiter.
Dude, I literally watched him. So like the short shoot section behind the start, where you come out of that left-handed 90 out front, hit that little sand section, then the tunnel jump where everybody was kind of like doubling into that pocket and then bouncing up and over into the woods. Like I literally watched Phil come out of that corner every lap, not just like the motos, like even during time qualifying, every lap just come out of there, just fucking reveling before you hit the pocket, and like most people, like there'd be no reason to shift there because you're rolling up into that jump, so like just pointless to shift unless you just already want to have third when you drop in, so you just kind of roll off. I watched Phil, instead of just rolling off the throttle to get back in the meat of the power and let the bike free up, I'd watch him just clutch it a little bit to take load off the bike, and I'm like, what? Your whole thing is you just don't care. You're just gonna hold it wide open and be like, yeah, dude, I'm just gonna clutch it to get the RPMs down, and like I'm just gonna free it, and then I'm just gonna hold it wide open. I'm like, okay, whatever, man.
He is such a fan
That's his
favorite.
whole thing. Just fucking over rev, clutch it a little bit, it's fine.
He's such a fan favorite, and I love it. I fucking love it.
Great. I mean, I really
miss
hope
him.
I really hope he does. So this is my
he does more pulp.
Well, yeah,
which I'm sure he will.
This is my question to you. So. And I think I already know the answer, but like I don't know if he's already said this. Is he going to run the 450 in SMX, or is he going to run the 250?
I think he's running 450.
Okay, and I assume so because he did last year or whatever, but I'm just like, well, I mean, he had a okay Supercross season, I guess, so like maybe he wants to, I don't know. I hope he can go out with a bang, man, in some of these SMXs. Like, we know he's not going to get on the box. We know he's not going to get top 5. But it'd just be cool for, like, one of these to maybe, like, just rip a holy and, like, lead a lap.
You mean, like, that second moto, like, yesterday? They ripped the whole shot in? Dude,
or
like,
a couple times
sick.
last year in SMX. Like, what was it, Chicagoland?
We have that video.
I would just love for him to just, like, yank a star and just, like, maybe just, like, lead a lap. Like, it'd just be cool. Like, I really want to see Phil go out on a good note. Like, it'll be a real bummer if he goes out and it's just a struggle bus, even though he likes to pretend it's always a struggle. But, like, I think if Phil can just be top 10 every moto and maybe yank some starts and get some, lead a lap or, be top 5 for a little bit, I think he would even tell you, like, yeah, that was a successful SMX. Because obviously we know in SMX we're getting everybody back.
Yep.
So.
Christian Craig goes 10.7 for 8th.
So
Phil was pushing to get him there in the second
good
moto.
Day, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
like, that
okay.
7th was good. I mean, I'm sitting there watching him like, Christian, just you don't need to do it anymore. Just let it go, man. You're gonna be back at Star next year anyway. It's fine.
We'll get to that in the halftime report. Let's see here. Freddie goes 9.9 for 9th.
Freddie Day, man.
Freddie Day. Stu goes 7.11 for 10th.
I think I'd be a little disappointed with that one, but the second moto, he got a terrible fucking start. So.
I said hello to Big James.
Did you?
Yesterday morning.
He didn't try to eat you?
No. He was sitting there eating.
No,
I was walking through the pits, and he kept kind of like looking at me, not looking at me. When we first got there, before practice started, and I was like, well, this is awkward to walk by and not say hi. So I said, good morning, sir. And he said, good morning. And I asked how he was. He was very polite to me. It was very nice.
If you ever see Sonia, you should say hi to her too.
Well, I don't see her, but I see him all the time.
She's what really kept shit in check back in the day. And Big James like that, it's like a hard ass. Sonya be like, motherfucker.
Shane goes 13:10 for 11th.
I think he is kind of just every time he rides, just fuck you to Hep. Because we know the other two.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, the other two people on that squad did not have good days yesterday.
No, not at all. Marshall Welton, I think he had a broken wheel the second moto.
Dude,
it looked a little wobbly.
Killing it though the first moto.
Yeah, 11:13 for 12.
Qualified 10th.
Yep.
Dude, somebody.
Good day for Marsh.
Yeah, I don't know what Marshall's deal is with Gizmo mods, but God, that kid deserves a ride.
Somewhere.
Like his Supercross, I know that his Supercross ceiling is not as high as outdoors, which nobody expects it to be, especially because he drops back down to the 250. But I would love for somebody to offer Marshall a ride because, I'm not going to say some names, but there's definitely some people that have rides that I think he deserves them over. So shout out to Marshall Welton, not only because he's a Michigan dude, but he's just a good kid.
Yep. Eric Koulis, 12:14 for 13th. So hopefully into SMX.
How do you think his SMX shit's gonna go? Because he rides.
I don't know.
He rides he rides Supercross, so like he has an understanding, and we know that there's not gonna be like real whoops. They're gonna be rollers. You think he's gonna have do you think he could do well? I don't think it's gonna be a failure.
I gotta pour through. So I was gonna pour through the points next week since we have kind of an off week here, and I was gonna do a little series, kind of like a playoff series here. Do a couple 450 videos, couple 250 videos, kind of like first tier guys, second tier guys, like bubble guys, whatever, and kind of talk about that. So I was gonna try to do some of those. So I got to see. Because I think he was trying to get enough points to get in and not have to do LCQs, but I got to see if he did it or not.
I think he already has.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure somebody in the comments here is going to roast me and be like, you fucking idiot. Of course he has enough points. You're so stupid. But I have to see. I mean, if he's in, he's in. And
I think how do you think it's going to go, though? Do you think he'll do okay?
15 to 20. I don't think he's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have to.
I don't think he's cracking that top 10.
I guess I would have to look at the guys that would be around that range. But yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna go 15 to 20th.
All right.
But it doesn't really matter because even if he gets like 20th, makes 40, 50K.
Yeah, which is a success for him because his wife is not doing this next year.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I'm not going back and forth, bringing suspension on an airplane, and then going. I'm not doing that.
Dino goes 17-12 for 14th.
I think he was just trying to get seat time, man.
I wonder if he got Chiz in points. I'll have to look that up there. Let's see here, actually. We can tell. 24th with 44 points.
He's going to hate life having to do the LCQs, man.
And then Chiz is 20th with 74. Ah, man. Lost to Chiz. That's terrible.
He's going to hate life. LCQs are going to suck.
Devin Simonson.
Had a good ride.
Riding the club bike.
Doesn't officially actually ride for club, though.
He does. These last couple here.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, 15-18 for 15th. At least he made the motos. Last weekend he came out, didn't make the motos.
Yeah, dude, he was killing it that first moto, man. He was locked in. He was running like, I think, 10th for a good 15, 20 minutes, I think.
There was this gigantic battle of like...
Yeah, it was like Noren, Marshall, Simonson, Koulis.
No, there was another one then because it was like Hand, Robin, Dino... I don't know, like battle, like 8 dudes, like battled to the fucking death for like, I don't even know, apparently like 15th place or something. And I'm just going, do you think when Dino won his 250 outdoor title, he thought that this is where his career would end? Like, poor guy, man. Poor guy. Let's see here. I didn't
think that Dino would wreck, or fucking Eli would fucking ruin him.
Derek Kelly goes 18-16 for 16th. Okay. Colin Park, 16-19 for 17th. Grant Harlan, 14-36 for 18th.
Dude, Grant has had the most up and down season. Like, he's had moments of just like, oh my God, this kid is awesome. And then there's just other moments you're like, wow, what are you doing?
What's happening? The Pope was 24-15 for 19th, and Chiz was 21-17 for 20th. So, and that's your top 20. Jace Kessler made the motos, so that's cool.
He was doing pretty well that second moto for a while.
Kessler went 26-26. Yep. Walker made the motos. Another Michigan guy, 32 40th.
I think he had issues that's first moto.
Yeah, keep an eye out. I have that first turn crash
With Dylan,
where you can watch him bounce off the ground there. That was pretty gnarly, and that was induced by Phil and Vincent Lahovie.
Yeah. He wasn't there when we were walking through the pits.
Who?
Dylan. I didn't see him anywhere.
Well, that's because he didn't even ride the second
No,
moto.
I mean, like, they must have been, like, after, they must have did a test on him, and like, dude, like, we're leaving.
Yep. So, all right. Anything else 450s from this weekend that you can think of? All right. So that's been your 450 race recap.